egg, egg. Yippee! Egg, 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 Egg.
Hello? Where am I? Hello? Oh, there I am. Hi! Hi everyone. I've got a little... Hold on a second. Oh shit. This set is kind of big. This is kind of a big set. It kind of covers everything up, you know? Also, oh, Christmas jump scare, no! There's an official gaming pad? There is, yes, you can find it in the merch store. I've got a little merch store with little, you know, a few little merch thingies in there. I don't think exclamation point merch is a thing, but ow. But you can exclamation point links, and then like on the little website there's a link to the merch store, so you can find it there. And you can get this, and also some shirts and stickers and stuff. It's fun. Anyway, Ina, yeah, Ina is here. Yay! This plushie is so nice. Her Turon is on the coffee table right now, though. I'm gonna go so fucking Tranquil. Yeah. You don't even fucking know, gang. It's insane. Anyway, hi everyone. I just have this now.
Car battery!
Ow! Ow! Oh yeah, wait, she's flipped for you guys? Wait, is she? Oh my god, wait, she is. Huh. Well, let me just go ahead and fix that then. I never thought about that. What you guys are seeing is flipped? That's no good. I can fix that, I assume. We aren't seeing it flip? Wait, I thought you were. The leg was fine, but the Ina is flipped. What? What? Oh my... No, what? No, I didn't. Ow. You guys... Ina isn't flipped. Who said that? Teslayden said it. Okay, Teslayden you were just wrong. I'm so sorry. See, I was confused. Yeah, no, she's fine like this. This is how she usually looks. Yeah. I'm just gonna put this down for a moment. Okay, we're gonna do eggies and stuff first. Hold her up again. Here. It's definitely the same because mask in a new one is on this side and mask is blue. Yeah. Crisis averted, everyone. Everything's okay. It's alright. It's okay. Okay, we're gonna do eggs, and then we can start building. So give me just a moment. Mr. Fizz is a little bit in the way. Bum, 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 bum. Official ENA pledge defect sold for $10 dollars. That's our new currency, and it sucks. And it's bad, and we get rid of it immediately. Alright, let's see. I'm excited to be here, saw your stream recommended, and decided to check it out and start follow. Oh, thanks! I hope you enjoy it. Now... Beep. Time for eggs. So everybody remember, if you have but one little point, you can already spend it on an egg to put on the stack, starting with Dynalope today.
You don't have enough memory in the memory
And then we've got Kira Cat. And Etramtoa. Space Junk. Yippee! Polar Stars. Esteemed Jester. Lucina of Stardust. Arliss Bloxer. Wibbless.
Egg.
Tesladen. Who was forgiven for thinking Ina was colored the other way. Green Clunk. Muzzle Flash. Fred Fox. Mecha VT. Taringerine. Captivity, finishing the first egg stack, and starting the second is 046. And then we've got Bunshines. Hi, Mai. How you doing? Wow. Thank you for these starting eggs. All right. We created our own currency just to have little discs to stim with. They hold no actual value because capitalism is shit. That's true. Everybody gets like one of those coins just to stim with, you know? I believe my prosopagnosia has let me down this way. You're forgiven, it's okay. Maya's doing okay. You have a little fidget. Yeah, I have a fidget dodecahedron. It's very, very good. It's also, I've used it a lot because these things, these used to have like little pads on them that you would put your finger on, but those have all cracked and fallen off, and this used to be like a
Egg.
well, it used to be a rubber thing you could fuck around with. It's gone. One of these broke off, and this pad here, it's it also comes off. This one has seen a lot of use. Happy winter, happy winter, Sheburger. Why did the joystick one always break? Well, the joystick one is still on here, actually. The joystick is fine. That one's totally okay and still works as intended, you know? It's a well-loved fidget toy, yeah. I picked up a hockey puck for work and went, wow, this is so satisfying to hold. I want to steal one. And did you? I mean, surely there's like enough hockey pucks to go around, right? Right, I assume? You could steal one, it's okay. I think. But we're here to do other things. We're here to stim with bricks, you know? So let's go do that. I'm the #1 stim streamer. What? Oh, I really am. So true, so real. Okay, so we are building this massive set. That is to say, the box is massive. The set itself isn't going to be that big. It's 32 centimeters or 12.5 inches wide, and 21 centimeters or 8 inches tall, according to the back of the box that you guys can see, and you also can't see me gesturing to it because you can't. W for the Owl House sticker. Yeah, you know it. You know it. I've also got some Night in the Woods, which is good, and also my own stuff because I got a sticker sheet as a sample for my own merch store, so I had to see if it was good, and it is. I'm very happy with the quality of the stuff from that place. Let's go. So let's see. Oh god. That's not a very clean cut. It's not a cut at all, of course, but you know what I mean. Alright, this makes a tree. This makes something. This makes grass and stuff. This makes grass and stuff. This makes water and stuff. This makes plants and maybe more grass and stuff. This, whoa, okay, these are base plates. This is also stuff. This is instructions. Oh my god. Oh, it's a lot. Oh. Okay, that's it. That's a lot, gang. Alright, let's see. I feel like maybe we won't finish this all in one stream. Okay, this is number 1, so I'm gonna keep that one here. And let's see, there's an 8 and there's a 9. I'm gonna put these back in order, in reverse order. Oh wait, no, this is 9. So 9, 8. This one doesn't even have a number. Oh god, 11? Wait, where's 10? I haven't seen a 10. This is scary, gang. So yeah, this is more pieces than I'm used to, for sure. Okay, wait, this is 10. Whatever, we're putting them back in. We're just gonna put them back in, it's whatever. Number 1 homosexual gauntlet-based Stim streamer called Zoe, as voted by Twitch audience. Thank you. I probably am that. You know, that's like one of those awards that I feel like I can give myself in good conscience. It went. There's 11. There are 11 bags. Technically 12 because this one isn't numbered. All right. Okay. Ow. Oh shit. Okay, there we go. Give yourself a funny, silly little plaque out for it. I don't know. I don't think it's worth all that. Give yourself awards. Some of that Taliko did and he got places. His mother is proud of him. I've heard. I've also heard that he pisses at night. Boom. A labeled bag of contraband Lego pieces. That one's not supposed to be in here. I'm not supposed to show you guys that. Alright, let's see. Created for mindful living. Oh, wait. Okay, wait. These days, being in nature is becoming a rare occurrence. We are an urban, technology-dependent society, but we need nature to relate to each other and understand ourselves. This Lego Tranquil garden, inspired by Japanese gardens, at least symbolically, brings nature to your mind, which is one of the most important things for our lives now. Wow, thank you so much, Huichi Kurisu, Japanese garden designer and builder. This man. Thank you. So true. Earlier this year, I planted a few seeds in a little jam pot. and it's I haven't posted a photo of it in a while, but it's grown into like so big. I had to like repot it and stuff into a different pot. I didn't do. I should really do it again, honestly. But like, there's basically just like a small bush in my home now. It's very nice. I'm very happy about that. I don't know. It's nice to have nature in your home. If you don't, you should get some nature in your home because it's nice. So this is actually my first time getting. This is actually my first time getting like a Lego set, like a more mature audience Lego set like this. So having like all this text already there and stuff, it's new to me. It's fresh. I think how they brought back Lego sets having lore, like vehicle. Yeah, this is lore. I'm learning so much about what I'm about to build and how I can play with it, you know? Created for mindful living, follow the stepping stones to your private pavilion. Make yourself at home, relax, and be one with nature for a moment. Or stay as long as you like. Sorry gang, we can only stay as long as the stream lasts. Sorry. Inspired by the elements of millennia-old Tranquil gardening traditions, this set has been created in collaboration with Hoichi Kurisu, who has several years of experience in creating mindful gardens, a serene retreat where you can reflect and recharge without distractions. Each element in the garden lets you dwell on the colorful wonders and playful beauty of Mother Earth. As you spend time with your garden, allow the seasons to come and go. I hope it doesn't take that long to build this set. I'm kind of hoping I can finish it before springtime, you know? It does kind of sound like a Sims DLC blurb or something. It's kind of funny. Can you see if this set has Lego piece 26047? I'll do that in a moment after we read this description. Where do I have to pick a book again? It fucked me up that like Toa Lecon set just didn't have an item list. Anyway, feel your creativity blossom with each visit, rearrange the scenery, plant new Lego vegetation, or add decorative ornaments that are meaningful to you. Prepare a pot of your favorite matcha tea, tune into a soothing nature soundtrack. Well, this particular track isn't particularly soothing, but that's fine, I think. Slip into your softest slippers. Nope, I'm in my boots. And take time to enjoy your mind's space. Wow. Oh, there's more. It keeps going. Tend to your garden. Building a Lego set can be an immersive escape, like reading a great book. It allows you to focus on something fun and gives you a feeling of pride and gratification. True. Even long after it's completed, you can return to this garden as often as you like, tend to the elements and change the landscape as you would an actual garden or maybe a bonsai tree, which there's also a set of. It doesn't say that, but it is true. Prune or replant the blossoming cherry trees, lush evergreens and bamboo, or move the smooth stone lanterns to fit your style and mood, or gaze at the vibrant koi and water lilies in the bubbling burbling pond, and simply surrender to your creative freedom. That's a lot of reading for a little Lego set, but it's fun. Maybe a little pretentious? Maybe? Yeah, diamonds in the sky. Okay, so let's see. Okay, sets 1 and 2 built the little building. Yo, wait, it comes with another... Does it? Yes! Yeah, dude, it comes with another brick separator. Fuck yeah, we have 3 now. Awesome. I love that I keep buying sets now that just have it included. That is so good. Fuck yeah, dude. But let me look in the back and see if piece 26047 is here. Oh, I hope these are in order. No, they're super not. Is it the frog? Because if it's a frog, then that's not in this one. Sorry. I think. Well, I guess I don't know for sure. But I'm not seeing it at all. So far, there's a teapot. And a crown. But I don't think there is a frog. Amogus? What? There's a Lego Amogus set? Which one would that be? They have to point it out to me, I guess. Okay, I'll look it up, sure. Let's see. 26047 Lego. Na 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 na. Damn, internet being slow. If you don't know what to plant, but you do get springs as green onions from the grocery store, you can just put those in any old pot or dirt of dirt after cutting the edible parts off. Fun! That's nice. I guess it makes sense, yeah. Although it's not the most pretty of plants, is it? They should make a Lego set that's a bunch of pieces, and every month you get a new build you can make with them. That's cute, actually. Damn, Firefox just does not want to show me what the piece looks like. This is kind of annoying. Well, I'll just leave it. Let it keep trying while we start building. Okay, so even the manual is just really big. I need more space, dude. Okay, we'll put this here for now. Okay, so bags 1 and 2, which I have here. I had the foresight to get 1 and 2. This time I remember to check. Too many times have occurred now where a piece stayed inside the bag, and then I got really scared thinking it didn't have all the pieces. There we go. And there's a mini bag inside the bag. Also, I'm gonna move you to here. Dun, dun, dun. I like looking at spring onion personally, and also it's the only plant I haven't managed to kill. Right, that is a good point. That's been a problem for me as well. A lot of plants that I've tried keeping in the past have died. Even my succulents died, dude. Succulents are supposed to be like some of the easiest plants to keep, and those died too. Oh. Now I have cacti and plants that aren't succulents, but they are still easy to keep. Alright, let's see. Start with this. And then we're gonna open another bag. There are 2 bags inside this bag. Are those whisks? That's cute. Oh. This set comes with whisks. 2 whisks at least. I wonder what it's gonna use this for. There also is the tiny teapot. Very cute. Down. Two of them. Lego baking stream when? I'm just gonna melt a bunch of Lego and die to the plastic fumes. Yeah, I feel like that would be a good stream. You're right, let's do it. I have the opposite problem where I don't accept houseplants as gifts, but ended up with one in a situation I couldn't refuse. And now it's been 2 years and the dang thing is still alive even though I want it to die. Okay, well, why do you just give it to someone else then? You shouldn't just let it die. If you don't want it, then find someone who does. Wait, is this the right color? No, this is golden. The plant's a living being, dude. You gotta take care of it. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Okay. Where's the brick separator? There you are. Are you here? No one else will take it. Why not? I am taking care of it because it is living, but I resent it. Well, you know, at least you know not to blame it, and you are taking care of it. Whoa! We thought 30 Gauntlet Queens the joy of murder and put them on a remote island. Which one will be the first semester art of pastry baking? Update, they died. We just all killed each other. Why would we go into pastry baking? Have I ever pastry baked? I had like cooking classes in high school. I've made cookies. I know that I've made like some kinds of cookies in the past. Does that count? Are cookies pastries? Those aren't pastries, are they? Does that count? Chat, does that count? Cookies aren't pastries. See? Oh, they are? Yeah, okay. Cookie streams are in right now. Yeah, but I don't think I would do a good job. I also don't enjoy cooking, so... like, not only do I not think that I would make an interesting cooking stream, but also I don't enjoy cooking, you know? So I don't think I would do that. It's gonna be like the front porch of the thing, maybe? No, it doesn't look like it. It's gonna be inside then. And now I need 6 of these. 4, 5, 6, and I need 2 of these. 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, I already did it wrong. Well, I didn't do it wrong, I just missed something. That's so big. Why'd they make the manual so big? It's too big. I think Zoe is a pastry because she's so sweet. Aww. I think Zoe is a pastry because she flakes. No, that's mean, I think. What does it mean to flake? I mean, I know when you're like flaking class or something. Which I guess I did do. So, I guess. And also, She-Burger. Mike loves rabbit. And Y Soup, thank you all for your eggs. Ba-dum-bum, 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 ba-dum-bum. I think the boss is a pastry because, Pop-Tarts. I've never had a Pop-Tart, those aren't a thing, those aren't real. You're lying to me right now. Does a cooking stream in the same way a streamer would play something like Getting Over It or VVVVVV or Jump King for the express purpose of getting mad at it? That's me, that's how I would do it. That's how I would do a cooking stream. Just constantly be like, why the fuck am I doing this? This sucks. I should just ordered something, you know? I mean, I shouldn't. It's more financially responsible to order or to cook food yourself, but I'm bad at it and I don't enjoy it. I'm not like bad at it, I'm just not good at it. I'm okay at it, but I don't enjoy it, and it's time that I could be spent doing other creative things that are more fulfilling to me, you know? I think Zoe is a meat bun because she's full of flesh. That's not even true. I'm empty inside. I don't have any organs. We've established this one, of course. Not Not the one up there. I could go for an apple strudel actually. Oh, dude, I could really fucking go for an apple strudel now that you mention it. I totally could. I'd actually love a pastry right about now. These two that I need are together. How convenient and nice of them. Yeah, all I got in there are a bunch of eyes and mouths. Actually, only mouths. Closed eyelids, I suppose. There's also closed eyelids in there. And this here is the front of the little house. There we go. I do have a skeleton, that's true, but you can't see the skeleton. It's in there, but it's invisible. Not to mention with ADHD, you don't think about food until you're already too hungry to wait. I'm too hungry to wait, and I likely also don't have enough time to cook anymore, you know? That is very often what happens, yes. The boss does not have any organs, but she does have extra body parts specifically for smear frames. That's fun, actually. I do like that. Drop one. Need 6 of these again. Which is this many? Yes. So I should go to the bakery and see if they have some curry croquettes. That sounds nice. I don't think I've ever had those though. Oh, I missed a step at some point. Oh, so I did. That's alright. Bum, 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 bum. Am I doing this right? Yes. Come to me. There you are. And yeah, if you're making a big meal, you guys also so many fucking dishes and stuff. Fucking sucks at having like ADHD, ADD, executive dysfunction, all that kind of stuff, because it makes everything of that so hard. I cooked today, chat. I made wraps, which I make a lot because they're easy and tasty and you can customize them easily, so you get like nice variety. And but I did it. It's still an accomplishment for me that I did it and stuff. Anyway, wow, we got a little platform. Nice. And now we're going to take 14 of these things. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14. And we're gonna stack them 1 on 1. If you make a big meal, then you have leftovers for forever. That is true. But the problem with that is then you have to eat the same thing every day until it's done, basically. Which I'm also not a fan of. But yes, I do now have leftovers for 3 days, so that is good. Pasta is especially good for having leftovers for cooking for as an autistic person, because it's pretty easy to make, depending on what you actually do with it. And you can make so much of it when you make it, which means you have leftovers for, like Tesla says, like a week. It's very good for that. I can definitely recommend it, because like all you have to do is just you get the pasta, you know, you get some spaghetti or tagliatelle or something, you know, and then you get meat and a bell pepper and spring onion and tomato sauce in a pot, and then some pepper and some shit to go with it. And that's basically all you need. It's very easy. You just cut up the bell pepper and you cut up the spring onion and you put it all together, and you're kind of done. You know, oh, onion, also regular onion, very important. I forget the regular onion was very important. And that's it, you know? I mean, obviously there's more steps to it, but you know how cooking works, I assume. If you're here, you're an adult, or you're not supposed to be here, and you just get the fuck out. So you're probably cooked, you know? And then you can eat it forever. Now this is cute. I have to put down 2 of these things. I think they're supposed to be like shoes or something, because you take off your shoes, you know, when you go inside. And you have to put them on these little things here, but at different angles to make it look more natural. So that's very, very cute. There we go. That's cute, and even focuses. Thank you so much, webcam. Maybe I won't replace you with a new one once we get enough money. Boom. Bum, ba, bum. This is a nice piece. Did they make this for this? It's nice. Oh, not yet. I was too quick on the draw there with the whistle. Ooh. That's not very secure for now. Wait! Sippy? Oh yeah, I made tea, I forgot. Let me pour my tea. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, and also I will do that stretchy and such after this. Also, thank you very much, Jody. I'm very much looking forward to some nice meals. Ow. A piping hot droplet fell on my finger. Stretchies. Okay, there we go. Oh. One and 2. Okay. Nice. And then we're gonna put smooth surfaces on them. Can we have Shadow? I think he would enjoy a tranquil garden. You know, I think he would, honestly. And we can get that. He can go right here next to it. Go a little bit less. He can go on the brick separator. I think he would also enjoy the efficiency of the brick separator. This one that we need? No. Just need these ones. We need 4 of these, I assume? Yes, I was right. I win. Dun, 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 dun. Gang, what's your favorite Animal Crossing game? Mine is City Folk, and I've been really wanting to replay it. And I also want to, this month, watch the Animal Crossing movie again in the Discord. I really want it to be like a yearly tradition, you know? Maybe I'll start playing Wild World in the Discord now and then or something. Like a little bit of it every do I not need this one? Every day or two. Yearly tradition Animal Crossing movie sounds fun. It is, right? We watched it for the first time. Oh no, wait, I did have the right one. Dang it. We watched it for the first time last year, so it's not a tradition yet, but I want to make it one, you know? New Leaf, even though it was the beginning of the end. New Leaf has a special place in my heart. Yeah, there is definitely stuff in New Leaf that I enjoy, despite my criticisms of it. I don't think it's a bad game. I think I like the greater ability of customizability, or the greater well, I guess greater customizability for the player character and stuff. And I like the diving. I think that's very, very nice. Just, what are these thingies? What are these? We'll find out. I don't know. I like how many features there were in it, even if I thought that the core of it wasn't as good as previous titles. Wild World is also very fun. Wild World has a very special place in my heart because that's the one that I played the most first. That's the one that I really got into. They made an Animal Crossing movie? They did! It's an anime movie based on Wild World that was only released inside Japan, where it was just called Dobatsu no Mori, meaning Animal Forest, which is the Japanese name for the Animal Crossing series. And it is such a delight. It is very much like, it takes some liberties to have more of a story, but it is very, very, very faithful in how it turns that game into a movie, and it is so fucking sweet. Of course, you know, you'll get more enjoyment out of it if you're familiar with Animal Crossing and Wild World, or City Folk in particular, but regardless, it is just a very, very nice movie to watch. Plus, because it's a seasonal thing, it starts in spring and ends in winter, which means it is a Christmas movie to me. it's a December movie, a holiday movie. A hot take: I like Pocket Camp. Good for short bursts of thing. Very efficient when dealing with video game loading screens. That makes sense. I personally didn't really like it because it just turned. It was like you took the current Animal Crossing philosophy for like the mainline games and just stripped it of any philosophy of the older ones. It's just only the new stuff. It's I don't know. I don't like it. It's just such only busy work, only trying to perfect your town instead of just living in it. But you know, it does. I can understand enjoying it still, and I certainly the way that it does like its fishing and stuff is still cute and fun. I don't hate it. I just thought it was kind of a shame that they, you know, it's an indicator of where the series is heading, and I don't like it. Animal Forest sounds cooler than Animal Crossing, to be honest. I mean, I think both are fine. And Animal Forest, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense. Like, yeah, that's where the animals are. That's, yep, you got it, you know? They're in the forest. That's where they're supposed to be. New Leaf had a lot of egg moments for me. Yeah. Totally. Someone gave me the princess dress and it was the only thing I wore for like a year. No, I totally get it. I already had some egg moments with or no, maybe I didn't. Did I have egg moments with City Folk? Well, I know that I think it was mostly New Leaf actually, where a friend of mine as a joke drew me and them and a bunch of our friends as magical girls. And then I was like, haha, what fun. I'm going to make the dress you designed for my character in New Leaf and then wear it. And then I didn't stop wearing it, you know? Okay, where the fuck? Oh, here we go. Damn, why is it so fucking hard? Here we go. Got it. What a cis thing to do. Oh, definitely. I think it was while... Yeah, it was while I was playing New Leaf that my egg cracked, because then I was... sad that I couldn't change my character's gender anymore. But I think that's honestly one of the reasons why... Ow. Why I stopped playing New Leaf is because I didn't want to start a new character. Like a new character in a new town and stuff. But I also didn't enjoy playing as that character anymore because of the male pronouns and stuff. So I just kind of stopped playing after that. Also, hi Valzadas, hi Syria, hi. Yeah, we're doing Lego ASMR, kind of, a little bit, maybe. Haha, guys, I've been wearing this just for a year. That's a joke. And also, hi Hal, how are you doing? Thank you very much for the egg. I've only played 2 Animal Crossings, and one was New Horizons, so my favorite is Wild World by default. Nice. I support that fully. Right, now we get to do something fun and cute, which is use these things. These are small. Like this. That is a very fun use of that. Very cute. Hope y'all doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. Ow! I'm doing alright. I'm playing with Legos. I was gonna say I'm playing and then the name of the game, but I'm not playing a game today, so I'm playing with Legos, I guess. Go to the store and buy Sonic stickers and put Sonic on your hand. Just kidding, Amy on the crown. I actually have an Amy and Sonic sticker that I got from my friend Sawyer, Star Heavenly, but I'm not gonna put that one on my hand. It's too nice for that. But Amy on the crown, I can totally do that. There we go. Okay. So how many of these do I need? 8. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll be right back. Where did that go? Oh, why did it have to be such a small piece? Shit. Well, surely this piece is small enough that they put in extras, right? Ah, crap. Yeah. I don't think I'm finding that one again. Wait, where'd you guys go? Where's the U-bots? Hold on, let me get you guys back. No, fuck off. This happens sometimes. For some reason you guys get like put at the bottom of the layers for some reason. Anyway, we lost that piece, so that sucks. I'll be more careful from now on. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, you were just helping me find the piece. I see, that's nice of you. 8, okay. We're good, assuming that they don't pop, these pieces don't pop up anywhere else. I'm being so careful. So careful. I'm sure it'll show up when you're least expected and aren't wearing shields. I'll be fine. I'm very strong, I'll just obliterate the piece. The sets usually have spares. Yeah, for like the really small pieces, and this piece definitely feels small enough to include spares. Okay, there we go. Next page. Okay, we're starting on something new now. Oh, we're making a little table. That's cute. Ba-da-bum. Oh, I did it wrong. Oh, the Lego will feel pain. That's fucking right. You shouldn't let the Lego win, you know? Always fight back against the oppression of Lego. Okay, so here I've got a little cauldron type deal. And we are going to put transparent studs into it. If I can find them. I've seen them. Okay, here's one. Can you see it? Yo! Golden cupcake piece! That's neat. You know, later. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. So we got the two studs. And we put them in here. I don't really need to put them in there. I can just drop them in. I don't have to like attach them. Can you even attach them? Is there a stud? Oh, you can't. Okay, good. So you can't lose. I was thinking like you can't then lose. You just can't get these out anymore. But there's nowhere to attach them on the inside, so it's fine. Do you hear that? I assume you can hear that. There we go.
Egg.
What? I will not eat it. Oh, there's no such thing. I enjoy eating things that taste good, and plastic doesn't taste that good usually, so. And Gray, thank you very much for your egg. There we go. Let me see if the tea is drinkable yet, speaking of things that taste good. Oh, you were talking about the muffin. Right. Well, that's okay. You can eat the golden cupcake. That's alright. That one tastes good. They put in special, good tasty plastic for that one. Oh no! They want another one of those tiny pieces that we lost, one of those. Oh, okay. We're good. We're good, chat. We're alright. We're okay. We're fine. I'm just gonna put it down. Try not to lose it. And then we need this. This piece is so interesting to me. It's such a weird, versatile, weird piece, don't you think? It's being used here as like a... What is that being used as? Spoon? I think it's a spoon here? It's weird. I've seen it used as like a lever, and there's like a little arm or something, and there's a piston. I mean, it's like cool and good, of course. There's so much versatility to these pieces, but it's weird. Because usually you can at least like see what it originally is, even if it's being used as something strange, like the bonsai tree where all the leaves are frogs, you know? I'm just wondering when you put Fortnite Jonesy in. Sorry, I don't have one of the Lego sets yet. They're gonna release. They are, right? They're gonna release like a Lego Beyond, like a Lego Fortnite sets as well. I haven't seen them yet, but oh. But they're definitely gonna do it. Okay, need another very small piece. I also love the frog blossoms. Whoa. Whoa! Okay, you shouldn't do this. This is illegal, but look. You can do this, and then you can take this window frame, and you can put it down like that. But you shouldn't, because these studs will like push into these ones, and that's not good. That's illegal. I can't wait for this garden to be complete so that Lego Gala Queen and Lego Butch Lesbian could go on dates here. Oh my god, they could! I think I had that thought before as well. That's the real reason for getting this set. I judge all sets I buy by how it will relate to the little Lego builds of me and the Butch Lesbian from Lego Island. Developing fear that the piece I'm looking for isn't even here. Nice. All sets will be judged by their capacity for Yuri. Correct. Am I only good? No. Okay, hold on. Come on. Ah, there it is. Found it. What? There's one red brick. There's one red brick, and it's so jarring. It's yeah, I guess so. I guess that's true. I guess I do refuse to commit Lego crimes. I used to do it a lot when I was younger, back before I knew. Although one could argue that there are certain... No, never mind, you couldn't. Anyway, so... I was honestly thinking they'd have like a set of at least mini figs ready for sale when Lego Fortnite started in game. Seems like a bad brand synergy to me to be... Good. No, I agree. It is surprising that they didn't have that. I mean, I don't mind, I guess. It's just, you know, it sounds like what they would do. Okay, one of a little bowl. And we're putting nothing in it yet. Also, I already put the whisk on just because I know that I was gonna, and I saw the whisk, so I put it on there. I think this is interesting that they put like we put one of these, you know, with like the only 2 studs, on a different one with only 2 studs. Why? Like that's less stable. It's a weird choice to me. Also, hi Sid, how are you doing? Welcome. As a general rule, moderators, whenever I'm like, yay, a friend, hi, you are free to give them a shout out. Having a Lego teardrop tattooed under your eye means you went to jail for killing a minifig. That's really good. Gotta get me one of those. Ooh, hey, that's nice. See, I was wondering, okay, because I saw a gold one, I was like, do I need that? And I do, because it's a little hard to see, but they put a little sparkle there. So, you know, it's a sparkly one, you know? That's nice. I like that. Also, Sid, thank you very much for your egg. Very good. Nice! Very good, even. That's wonderful to hear. Awesome. And then the little black one, I've seen it. There it is. There we go. Guess it's meant to be easily removable and played with after the build played with. I'm sorry, this is a Lego Ideas, or this is like a grown-up Lego set? You don't play with these, come now. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess the idea is that it's sort of like a tray that you put down on the table. Which is nice. I don't even know what this is supposed to be, by the way. But that's okay. Teapot. Teapot go like this. Ow. I've stopped even trying to shout people out because by the time my fingers are on the keyboard, Clone has already done it twice. Damn it, Clone, you're making the other mods look bad. I'm just kidding, of course. You're doing great. Okay, put some tea in there. Oh! Some tea in there. There we go. Bye! And we put that
Egg.
right here. There we go. And Robotoast, thank you very much for your egg as well. And Sid, thank you very much for the sippy.
Car battery!
While I'm enjoying my tea, I can't believe you guys would do this to me. Absolutely vile behavior. I'm just trying to enjoy my tea here. Ow. Okay, so we've got our little place going. It looks very, very nice. What kind? Right now it's rooibos with some honey in it.
This place is great.
Thanks, Amy. Usually I don't really play with honey in my rooibos, but I thought it is more comfy with honey, you know? So I decided to have some honey. I usually like rooibos just plain. One and two. Did we get some battery acid in the tea? No, I make sure all the car batteries in the castle are devoid of acid, because otherwise it's too dangerous. Mambaleo, mambalina. Bam, 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 bam. Not even sure what we're building right now. The roof? Probably the roof. It's a roof. Caipirinha, caipirinha, wow, yeah, mambaleo. Fun fact also, I think, is like what we're gonna do is this isn't gonna be attached at all. We're just gonna slide in here, I think. But we'll see. We do not fill the car batteries with acid. We instead offer big rocks in our car batteries. Yeah, because then they hit harder, you know? That's how I taught y'all to do it. Let's see. This is super flimsy right now. And it looks like it might remain flimsy for a little longer. If I look ahead just a little bit, if I spoil myself. Hello? Why am I looking scared when I look down? Sometimes. Dun, 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 dun. Well, it died. Can I just say, like, this music is from Lego Sonic Lost World, and the game gets a lot of hate, and a lot of it is justified, but the music is so nice. I love the Winter Stages music. It is so delightful, you know? Ba-dum-bam-bam-bam-bam-bam. It's still pretty flimsy. None of it is justified best Sonic game? Well, I don't know about that. It does do fat shaming pretty badly. But I do think a lot of the gameplay is also quite fun. And I just think the story overall is just kind of a shit show. You taught us how to steal the batteries from cars and drink all the acid. It's healthy for you, bots. Good source of protein. I think you might be right. I think it might indeed be so. Last Sonic game I remember playing was the 06 demo on Xbox. That's a fucking while ago. Also, yikes! That's the last one that you played. Not a great note to end on. In terms of quality. Someone said that Lost World would have been a classic Sonic game, and I can't help but feel that way as well. It, you know, that kind of. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. Ba-dum bum 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 bum. Da dun 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 dun. Oh, I forgot a thing. There we go. There we go. Played Sonic Heroes on your very real PS2 yesterday? Very nice, I hope you had fun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so now we've got all these panels here and these window frames, and we're gonna combine them. Click. Did you guys hear the click? We're gonna do this 18 times. Click. Oh, you've got a spare bowl, that's nice. Oh. That would be a very, 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 very nice date. Click. Man, I love going to gardens and stuff. Next time I have a partner, I should definitely take them to a garden. Click. 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 Have I been counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Halfway there! No, that's not how that works. Click 7. Are we halfway there yet? No. Click 8. And click 9. Now we're halfway there. Ten. 11. 12. Imagine if this was in like a set for kids. Can you imagine a kid doing this? What was I? 13? Is this for 13? I'm just gonna keep going until I'm out of panels and stuff. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did I count that right? Oh my god, we almost lost the golden cupcake, gang. Scary. Did I count this wrong? Hold on. Oh, there's another one. At least one more. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Shit. Oh, okay. We're good. We're good. It's fine. There we go. All is well in the world. Nothing to worry about. Did you guys hear that? Was that picked up by the microphone? I hope that was fireworks. One person heard it, one person didn't. There was a loud fucking bang from outside. Would fireworks be celebrating? Well, you know, sometimes people just launch fireworks. They wouldn't really be I think they would be celebrating the acquisition of fireworks. Because it's, you know, we're nearing Christmas and New Year's and stuff, so people go out and buy fireworks and then they just like launch them now, you know? That sort of tends to be a thing that happens, you know? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're not familiar with that concept. Fuck you. Okay, really should have... I feel like they should have let us put these pieces later when we had easier access to them, but okay. Today is a holiday in Portugal, so maybe there's something. Nah, honestly, probably not. If it was fireworks, which I hope, then it was probably just having fireworks. Because it tends to be the thing, it's like people just start launching fireworks the moment they have them, you know? I hear someone shoots at Tenorite sometimes around where I live, so fireworks wouldn't be out of the question. Shoots at Tenorite? What's Tenorite? I don't know what that is. Okay, now to secure these pieces together. Is Tenorite a geological resource made of a guy called Tanner in a fantasy setting? Or, I guess, discovered by someone named Tanner? No, Tannerite. An explosive compound. Cool. And someone just shoots at... They buy that and then they shoot at it. People are fucking stupid. Why would you spend your money on that? Still a little sturdy, huh? Guess that's what you get if your entire thing is just one thing, you know? It's just just a bunch of bricks stacked on top of each other. Anyway. Doing. Big piece. Ah, we're gonna make the roof now. I wonder if this is when the red piece will come into play. Or maybe the red piece is just for me. Just to keep, you know? That'd be kind of fun. Or they just give you a random red piece for no good reason. Okay, have that, and then... I see. I saw a vid of someone doing it at a fridge and a piece of metal almost hit where they were behind a tree. Jesus Christ! Why would you risk that? Why would you do that? It's a little snacky. Okay. How? I was gonna. I almost just put it in my mouth, which is definitely not what I should be doing. Also, gang, I got Guilty Gear Strive now. It was on sale. And I bought Bridget and none of the other DLC characters because the expansion passes are way too fucking expensive. So sadly I cannot play as Testament. Oh well, I can play as Bridget. That's the most important thing. It's good. I like it. It is more involved than Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is my go-to video fighting game. Which is normal. It's kind of like why one of the reasons why I latched on to FighterZ is because it is a little bit more approachable. It's on sale, yes, it's $20. And then Bridget is another 6 or so. It's good. I like it a lot. It is more involved, but it's still not so involved that if I just pick one character, which is Bridget, or maybe May, but for now it's Bridget, I can't like remember all the inputs and stuff. So it's fine, and I like it, and God, the presentation is just, it's insane. Obviously, like I'd seen gameplay of it and stuff, and I played it like once, but still like getting to play it more consistently by yourself when you like get a better feel for the game, it's so goddamn satisfying, you know? That's a fair price for a trans woman. That's true, but it like stacks up when you have like all the other characters also, you know? Like that's the thing, it's like when you buy the game and then you buy the season pass when it comes out, another season pass when it comes out, and that's like, you know, that's a small purchase every time, but then if you now, you know, wanting to get into the game now, it's so much money all at once if you want to have all the characters. Not a big fan of that per se. No, don't love it. I do know that Granblue recently re-released its fighting game now with like all of the old content like put Like, it's just like, it's a new version of the game, and it has all previous DLC included for free. That's fucking nice. Also, hi Jules! Hi! How are you doing? Welcome! We're building Lego and talking about fighty games. Let's see. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, we're doing something wild here, gang. Check this shit out. Whoa! She played Multi-Blood Lumina. It's my favorite fighting game, and none of the DLC characters cost money. That's dope. I have never played a Multi-Blood game. Sell me on it. Yay, Lego! Yay, and you're good! Yay! I'm so glad to hear that. Everybody go check out Jules if you haven't yet. But she and I have recently been doing some VR chat streams together, so you probably know her. The characters are easy to draw. That's good. A hat for Derek. Everybody check out me. Aww, thank you. Can you give him a festive hat? You fucking know it. Here is festive hat for Derek. It covers up his eye a little bit. Wait, I can probably, if I do this. There we go. There we go. A nice festive hat for Derek. You're so right. He really needed one. Very good suggestion. There we go. Very nice. And then we're flipping it, and we're doing this all over the place. Very wild to me. Simple character designs, lots of women, but not a lot of tits. Alright, so they're more well represented. That is nice. Pretty straightforward game, but there aren't 5-second pauses every time someone uses a special move. Aw, but I like those, because it's big and exciting. Oh well. Maybe if I play that, I'll finally understand the hype behind that cat character that everybody likes. I keep seeing it and I'm just like, alright. I don't know you. You know? It's like one of those things where the character suddenly appeared everywhere and everybody acted like they'd always been there and like they knew exactly what it was. And I'm like, who? Where did you come from? It was very weird to me. Oh my god, the red brick! It's here, it's real! Shit! This is what I figured it was going to be used for, because that's usually what it's like in these kinds of builds. It's like if you have completely differently colored characters, or bricks rather, it's because they're going to be inside as like scaffolding, you know? And I was right. It was just there was only one of them, so that's why I was a little bit confused. I'm having a sippy. There we go. I had to chug it because it was getting cold. Or, well, lukewarm, I suppose. Bum, 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 ba bum, 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 bum. What did I put here? This? I think I put this in the corners. It's a little hard to see here with these colors in the manual. You can kind of tell already from there. It said all these browns just kind of blend together. These dark browns. Ow. Neko Arc is the most fun and creative joke character in anything ever. Counterpoint, Phoenix Wright in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I do love Phoenix Wright in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I do think he's very, very good. I also think that Piranha Plant is quite funny, but not as funny. Also, enjoy your lurk, Jules. Always nice to see you. I feel it a lot. Some of those characters just appear and everyone's like, oh my god, it's my favorite character, I love her forever, and it's like, you've never mentioned or shown me this thing before. Yeah. I'm not... Hold on. I'm not blaming anyone. If they're having fun, then they're having fun. It's just like... Where'd this come from? You know? It's mostly just sort of... that you then start seeing endless posts about how they love the character, and I'm just like, when did this start? Where did this come from? Can we explain who this character is? And they don't. Oh, okay, yeah, there's like a notch. I see, okay. Sorry, I was just wondering how this fit, how like this fit, because it looks like it should not. Anyway, it does. It's fine. It's probably very hard to see from where you guys are sitting what I'm talking about, but I'm making sense. I'm so sorry, David Byrne, Talking Heads. I am making sense. I have not stopped. All right. Huh? Oh, did I do this wrong? Oh, I did this wrong. See, I thought I was doing. I thought that it would make more sense to do it like this, and then I didn't because I thought that I wasn't supposed to. It turns out I was right all along. There we go. There we go. Looking very nice. And now for the les pièces de la résistance. We put down the little pointy thing at the top, you know? That's a fire truck, right? No, it's probably an ambulance. I think it's an ambulance. I have a big feeling that sometimes people start liking a character because of posts from the fans of the source material start popping up, and the people who start liking it from those posts feel they have to pretend to not be called a fake fan, and in the end the people who actually like the character is dramatically inflated and nobody can tell you when it started. I guess maybe. There's nothing wrong with liking a character from something without knowing the thing itself, I feel. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, the easy answer to why isn't anyone explaining this character is like, well, they probably just looked it up. I don't feel like doing that though. Can't put brisket. Brisket's so good, but I play now, so it's okay. I'm now allowed to like her. Also, we used the golden cupcake. It has been done, chat. And we're putting it right at the top. How nice. And it goes right on here. Am I doing it? There we go. Wow, how nice. Yay. Don't climb my house and eat my cupcake off the top. Don't do that. I need this here for, to ward off God. Fuck off, God. I play, now I can reclaim. Yeah, I can reclaim Brisket, it's fine. I played through Brisket's still story mode where she's like, oh, I'm transgender, yay, you know? Bum, bum, bum. Anyway, this is a beautiful little building that we built. Very nice. Nice subdued colors. And now it's time. We're fine. For bag number 3, which is this one. I got it in one. Look at it go. And also the base plates, the big base plates, nice. Hell just gave me something? On Steam? What did you get me? Is Steam going to show me? Steam doesn't want to fucking load. Ow. Damn, Steam just does not want to fucking load, huh? This is annoying. I'm just gonna keep building until— whoa, Steam is crashing now. Hell, what did you give me? Did you buy me a virus? What the fuck did you do? The hell, girl? Oh, we're gonna build the garden itself. Congrats, you got me a virus. Wow, happy holidays. Thanks, Hal. I really appreciate it. You hold those, Ina. Everybody, please go please report Hal for giving me a virus. Obviously don't. Wait, oh, this is the wrong thing. Why the fuck is Steam crashing from this though? What the hell? This isn't right at all. This is long. What did you say? I was busy reporting Hal for giving you a virus. Ah, thank you. Very good. Exactly what I asked you to do. Great job. Ugh. I'm not touching Steam. We're just gonna keep building and letting this play out. So I was thinking we would be like building a nice frame around the place, but we're gonna put like some grass and shit down here already. Right here. And then a thing over here. Isn't that crazy? I think this is so crazy. Lego is off the shits, you know? They have to be stopped. Everybody please go report Lego for giving me a virus. Thank you. It's probably Guilty Gear DLC, is what I would have bought. Maybe, but we don't know yet. We don't know until Steam stops shitting the bed. But whatever it is, I'll be very appreciative of it. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. Yellow? Man, you know that yellow is gonna get covered up by something, because that color does not match at all. Let's see. It's here. And then one of these right here. Another big black one. This is so interesting. Like, what is any of this gonna be? Right? Doesn't this look weird to y'all? It's probably every single piece of Train Simulator you'll see. It's what I would have bought. But I don't even have Train Simulator. I think I might, honestly. What with all the bundles and stuff, you know? Maybe I have Train Simulator, who knows? I don't have Train Sim? Oh no! That's terrible! I think it will be a burger. That's nice. Although, I don't like getting food gifts. because you just eat those and then they're gone, you know? Enjoy all the DLC and no trains. It's okay. I will be able to look at all of the DLC and imagine what it'd be like to have them and play them. Not to have them because I have them, but actually play them, you know? And that'll be just as good, if not better, than actually playing train simulating. Oh man, you got me horse armor for Guilty Gear Strife? Awesome! Thank you! Now I can really up my game. Na 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 na. Okay. Oh my gosh! Tribulus and all your viewers, hello! Thank you very much for coming. Welcome, 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 welcome. I hope you've had a very good stream. Swiftbrit, thank you very much for following. Welcome. Hello everyone, I am Zoe Gunla Queen. I am an artist and a variety streamer. Bear Borger, thank you very much for following as well. And we are currently building a very nice Lego garden. Jigsolation, thank you very much for following as well. It's like pixelation, but jig. We are currently building a Lego garden. Glyph the cat, thank you very much for following as well. We are currently building a garden and waiting for Steam to stop crashing so I can see the gift that a friend gave me. What's going on here? Oh, ow! You're the only one who's ever said that. You get me. I get pixels is the thing. Prince Sham, thank you very much for following. God, this song is so based. It is. That's because it is from Anamanaguchi and from Scott Pilgrim, and it's so good. I love Anamanaguchi with all my heart. It is. We have a winter playlist right now. I have a playlist of a bunch of winter music. That one Umbrian, thank you very much for following as well. You were playing Lego Fortnite. I played a bit of it yesterday. I like it. It's not perfect. I think that some of the I think the building in particular is pretty fucking flawed. But I do think it's neat and it's very fun with friends. But why is it in Fortnite, you know? Why couldn't it just be its own game? I mean, I know why. It's because Epic really wants to get a monopoly on gaming, which is sucks, you know? Streamed for 11 hours yesterday, damn. I mean, I could have seen myself. Whoa! Me after I get the second tower. The grid snapping is completely fucking scuffed. Agreed, it's not great. I could totally see myself playing it for 11 hours though. Like yesterday, I played it with community members in the public server, and did I do it wrong? Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I just really had to like wrestle myself away from there, you know? Come on. There we go. Alright, let me try this again. So first we're gonna get a 1x3. And then this block falls off because they haven't done anything to properly attach these yet at this point in the instructions. Dun. Oh, hey, that's fun actually. You played Lego, and now you're rating me. Who's building Lego? I just got that. Oh, was it very laggy? That sucks too. Damn, they try to get a monopoly on gaming and then they can't even make gaming right. What a surprise. Or actually, not a surprise at all. Did I do it wrong again? I just did it wrong again. I just did the same thing wrong. Fuck. And I did wrong too. This is also wrong. Why'd I fuck this up so bad, chat? Why didn't you stop me? Why didn't you, who can't see the instructions well, stop me? Can you come off, please? Hello? There we go. Okay. Didn't you hear me yelling at you to stop? No, I'm sorry. I took out my ears for fun. I will take a sippy, thank you. I'll take a water sippy first. And then I will pour tea. There we go. Da 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 dun 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 dun. And that's the show, pal. Do you own any Lego SpongeBob? I don't, because I'm not really interested enough in SpongeBob to warrant it. I own Lego Sonic, a lot of Lego Bionicle, and I think I still have some Lego Star Wars lying around, maybe? I have a couple, I saved a couple Lego Star Wars minifigures, I know. And I have Lego Exoforce, I still have that. That's about it, I think. And some I have the Lego gaming tournament truck, I have that one. Nope, that's wrong. That's the same wrong. That's also wrong. Nope. Yes, there we go. This is a nice patterning here. I wonder what we, in fact, are going to be doing with this. Dun, 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 dun. I gotta say, something that is very nice in this set that I don't know if other adult sets have nowadays is they have a red outline. You can kind of see it here. They have a red outline around the new pieces that you're placing. Old instructions certainly didn't have that. They go off so much easier when you use the tool meant for taking Lego apart. Looks so much easier than using my teeth. Yeah, you should definitely get a brick separator. It's very good. You should use those. You should... I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you should definitely use the tool meant for the thing that Lego built for the thing. For that purpose. It's good.
Egg.
Hi, Daya! Thank you very much for your egg. How are you, my friend? Daya, I love you. Yay! Are we